it's a very childlike and sweet and innocent and naive way to approach spirituality and God, and we've all done it, which is save me from myself, save me, God, save me, spirituality, save me from life as it is. Isn't that kind of the gateway that most of us come through at some point? Yeah, let's just be honest. And life gives us some blessings along the way to just kind of bolster us up so that we feel like, this is possible. Maybe some good meditational moments and some wonderful Kundalini experiences, perhaps, or some bliss will come in, or, nature opens up and reveals its true face, and you just go, oh my God. Yeah. And we can get hooked on those. I was a very, had a lot of wonderful experiences in my 20s. And I just thought, okay, I'm just going to keep having these. And eventually it's just going to be one great, wonderful, blissful moment, which included taking in the difficult things, but it's just that they were made possible. I was able to see them more heartfully and overcome them, which was great training. But there was something there that was immature, that was thinking that I would just be saved eventually and live on another kind of plane of existence, I guess. And I got knocked down. And it's like Ram Dass, talks about with fierce grace. That's not the face that we think and want to see when difficult things are happening. We don't want to ascribe that as being another grace. But it's interesting how even in the moment of something very, very difficult, we can start to get a clue and say, oh my goodness, in the midst of this tragedy, of these difficulties, I'm more here, I'm more alive, I'm more present, more awake to love than ever before. I'm less in fantasy. I landed with my butt on the ground, my feet in the dirt. And I can't pretend anymore. I can't fake it. And we start to look down at the dirt where our feet are and say, oh, wow, this dirt is holy. It's holy too. This dirt that maybe I've been thinking I've been a part of, but I've been actually kind of avoiding being here in this body and on the earth, and what this mother is about, which is her laws of impermanence. If we want to be empowered, how about this? You chose to come here, and you chose this school of extreme duality, and you wanted to learn what it's like to realize that everything's God, including that which is difficult. So instead of seeing oneself as a victim to this, you can start to see your responsibility that you've undertaken. And not just imagine that it's the holy people of the planet who have this understanding, but you came here to know this. And stop abdicating your own authority and power to the victim story. That's just painful. I'm not saying it's easy, okay? But hey, the really big growth comes from things not being easy. And so we can begin to see that grace comes in these moments of beauty and holiness, which I wish for everyone to have enough of the experience to know it's there in that way. Just to feel the loving embrace of that which is greater, that which is, loves everyone equally and is very aware of the difficulty that this life can bring. And then or also to realize that grace is here when we stop imagining that it's not, when we stop being victims and having a story that because it's difficult, it means that I'm unworthy of grace or unlovable or God doesn't love me. It's just that this is a very tough school. And one of the ways that it teaches is through hardship, evidently, right? Because I guess that's the way that we learn, one of the ways we learn. If it was just soft and fluffy and pink clouds, which many of us know maybe from other times that were in between lives, who knows, get some nice reprieves. But that's not experiencing duality, really. Above and below, light and dark, what's conscious, what's unconscious. How do we know love? By knowing what doesn't feel like love, what isn't love. These contrasts. So that's what spiritual maturity is. It's growing up, and the constant invitation to rest and not knowing instead of making up our minds about things. Enter more the unknown and then just feel into the experience of what presents itself. And then, whatever you do know, like you really know and have been gifted knowing and have worked hard at knowing, let's say, be in service to that in your lives. And just practice that in your daily life. Let's say that being authentic and true when you talk or being with others as much as possible, say. Let's say that's something you've come to see, the beauty of authenticity. Practice that. Be in service to it. Or you've seen that loving people as they are is much more true to you than judging them. Let's say that's something you've really come to see and know. Practice that. You get more of what you practice. Be in service to what you know to be true. Kindness. That no matter how people are being in the moment, let's say, unless they're being, that you need to walk away, that you practice kindness, you come back to yourself and you be true to you and say, what's true for me is to speak kindly. There's so many things that you've opened to and grown to discover. Practice that. And this is a nice open secret. Grace comes in more grace comes in. So the more that you demonstrate and acknowledge what it is that you've learned in this school, this earth school, and you become more of a manifestation of what you know. So you're practicing it and you're serving it. Well, truth flows and you get more of what you know. Does that make sense? This is a way, it's like, how can I have more grace in my life? Be in service to what you know and live it more, practice it, even if it's just one or two things. I know that everyone here has made inroads. So honor it rather than seeing what's still not perfect or right or what you're still growing into, and because we have that too, right? But honor the trails and the streams that are open. Yeah. And guess what? Then that's a channel for grace to work through. Grace is another word for the divine. Let the divine work through you where you have openings, where you have cracks. Some of them are very hard earned. Some of them you came in with, We all have come in with certain gifts and abilities and qualities, and sometimes we overlook them because it's not what's calling us our attention. And then we're pummeled by life by trying to, wake us up to areas that we would like to open to. Let's say letting go of unworthiness or judging others or playing victim to our lives. So we'll keep getting that demonstrated until we wake up to that and see we are waking ourselves up there. It's not a betrayal by God, or it's ourselves waking ourselves up.